reason why I got started in cars, I actually had neighbors who were race car drivers, and they would go to the track, Watkins Glen. We actually don't live that far away from Watkins Glen, so they were race car drivers, instructors, and I was a curious kid and into go-karts and stuff at a young age, and yeah, I would go over and hang out with Bob in his shop. He had an old first-gen MR2 that I actually got to do some hot laps in as a passenger, as you know, an 8-year-old kid. So, believe it or not, the first car I ever drove was Wendy's. It was Bob and Wendy, who lived next door, and Wendy owned a Miata. And the first car I ever drove was her blue Miata on the infield of Watkins Glen, sitting in her lap. So at the time, I was just excited to drive a car.
Right.
Little did I know, the fate had been set at a young age that I would be a future Miata owner. But yeah, that's kind of really how I got to start. I didn't actually start with Miatas. I wanted to go fast for cheap. And don't do that. Don't try to chase, you know, what it's like cheap, fast, reliable, you know, pick two. I was, you know, being silly kid, trying to pick all three, and yeah, I was in a DSMs, which was a mistake. So I did have a Galant VR4. Never ran right, but it was a ball to drive in the snow. And that engine's great, but Mitsubishi doesn't know how to make a transmission. They just, you know, the transmissions always suck. There's always a boost leak. There's always problems with them. So I put that aside, put that to bed, became an adult. Got out of cars actually for a little while. Yeah, I got this car on a whim. My friend found it. He knew I was looking casually, as we all are, you know. He was like, I've got the plates, we're going. I found it on Craigslist, get in the car. I wouldn't have bought the car if it wasn't for him. And we went out there, you know, they claimed, oh yeah, this is a Colorado car, no rust, family owned. We went out there and it all checked out. It was a cheap and expensive rust-free Miata, which is becoming a unicorn car, especially up here in the Northeast. We brought the car back that same day, and yeah, I've owned it for almost 5 years at this point, 5 summers, and it's been little things here and there. At the beginning, it came with a 1.6. It's a 1991 white Miata, as base as it gets. No power steering, no AC, no roll windows. It is base. The epitome of base. And yeah, I've done little things over the years. I went to a 1.8 soon after owning it. Within the second summer of owning it, yeah, the crank pulley sheared right off the front of the car on the way back from the first and second, to this day, autocross I've ever done with the car. So the 1.6, garbage, threw that thing out, managed to find a 1.8 on Craigslist, swapped that in, and so just little things over the years. But now it's becoming a sports car. It's official. It's got an LSD in it this past year, and we're going with like the engine, the VVT engine, like the best engine that came on an MB or MA, and we're gonna see what it can do. We are gonna dyno the car. I'm really curious to see, you know, what it's gonna do as is. I'm almost rooting for a low number because that means, you know, a bigger gain. I think a realistic goal is, you know, 140 horsepower, and just track slut. Like I mean, I don't know how much we're actually gonna be able to get to the track, but I want to be able to, you know, drive to run a motorsports park where we don't live that far away. Drive there, not have to trailer it, get it up all day, and then drive home and have no problems. Gonna stay NA all day, and just see what we can do. We'll be tuning it in the future, maybe, you know, independent throttle bodies. We'll see. But short term is let's actually tune this car. I've always wanted to go to the dyno. I think every car guy, wants to know what their car is making, and I've always wanted to tune. Like, that has been such an interest of mine, and I've just never done it. So it'll be cool. And if we stay NA, it'd be awesome to get to 180 horsepower to the flywheel. That's been a really cool idea of mine in the past. I've always wanted to own an NA engine that made 100 horsepower per liter. So we're not even to the 2-liter mark, so I can't say 200 horsepower is a serious goal. That'd be a lot too for the engine. I know that my bank account would not be happy with me attempting to make 200 horsepower. 180 horsepower to the flywheel, that would be somewhere in the range of 150, 155 horsepower to the wheels, which I think would be more than doable. Probably not this year, but we'll see. I think that's good.
All right, so we are on our way heading down to the dyno. This is going to give us a good baseline to really see how things change over the course of this winter, and what things look like with the different engine in there. So we're going to find out what my engine's making. Yes, this dyno is in this mad genius's backyard. Rick is an awesome guy. This is the first time I've ever been here before. He's going to be the same guy that we're going to work with on tuning this car once we do the engine swap. So more to come on him. Alright, so we just left the dyno. Great experience. That was super cool. I've been wanting to go to the dyno for a long time. I've also really been wondering what the car was making for a long time, so no more guessing. Car makes 102 horsepower to the wheels, which is crazy because I have done some stuff to it over the years. I started with a 1.6, went to the 1.8, put the X intake cam in, and I've felt it get peppier and peppier, and to just be breaking 3 figures, it's funny. It really is funny. So we've got a starting point. Our goal is going to be with this VVT 150 wheel horsepower. That's going to be a big difference. I mean, we're talking almost 50 wheel horsepower, so the car is going to be very different. It's still such a low number, so it sounds a little funny. I mean, the car's pretty, good and responsive as is, so I'm really excited. I'm actually really happy. It's funny because it's not that much horsepower, and it's a weird situation to actually not have a lot of horsepower and be excited about it, because that means there's a lot left on the table with doing this engine swap. So yeah, I'm really excited. This is gonna be sweet. We're on our way to pick up the new VVT engine, and just coming from the dyno, going to get the new engine. So making some moves. It's gonna be exciting. I'm really excited for this project. We've got a good winter project in store, a couple actually. So this is gonna be sweet.
Find your way back home.
right, so engine is here. It's not in the happiest condition, but it's not going to be a problem. We're going to get started on the teardown and yeah, make it look pretty. Next time on Project VVT, teardown begins, parts start coming off, and stitches? We don't have to use any of it, or like I can kind of select and pick and choose what to grab. If you just want to make sure that it looks good in there. Am I still in focus? Am I still looking pretty?
You're in focus.